Morning everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And welcome to the third instalment of my top 5 walks in East Leeds to do this spring. I'm in the valley of the Cockbeck, or the River Cock as it's sometimes known, east of the village of Aberford and the A1M1 motorway that runs through the area. We've already done number 5 and number 4 and number 3. So here we are for the 4th instalment, number 2 in my top 5. And as I hinted in the last video, there is a twist, but more of that a bit later. I'm heading to a wood called Hayton Wood, which lies about a mile and a half east of Aberford. There's several places you can set off from, the village itself or places on the outskirts. I've set off today from there's a little car park near the sewage plant. Can't think of a nicer way to put it, which is just on the eastern side of the motorway. So I've started there and I'm heading to Hayton Wood, which should come into view just beyond this fence. Very interesting valley this though, as it runs down. I've seen it at times of heavy rain when it's formed a lake across the valley bottom, like 100 yards wide. Not so bad today, despite all the rain. It seems to be getting chance at last to start raining away. So a footpath there that would take you up to Hazel Wood Castle. You could also get back to Aberford that way, and the footpath there, as the sign says, to Aberford. And the footpath this way takes you to the Crooked Billet pub and the old chapel at Lead. We're not going as far as there today. That's where I usually park actually to start this walk, but I'm trying to make these woodland walks easily accessible, and from the Crooked Billet it's quite a trek, but there's Hayton Wood. As you can see, the river's quite high, and wouldn't take much for the whole of the valley bottom to be flooded. Probably not very deeply, but it's quite an impressive sight when it does flood. And this water here is now quite deep. Normally the water's about a foot deep, and that's a good 5 or 6 feet down, so I bet that water's at least as tall as me. Anyway, we're at the southern end of Hayton Wood now, and it's basically a fairly long linear walk that will take us through it. Blackthorn's just starting to go over in places. It's been a brilliant show. Not sure if there's a path from this very bottom end. I think the woods are private, so I'm sticking to the way I know, the way I've gone before. Which is up this hill. I'm afraid the walking for the rest of the morning is uphill until we turn round and come back. So we're heading to that top left hand corner of the field. See you when we get there. So here we go. Number 2 on my list of places to visit, woodland related, in East Leeds this spring. Hayton Wood. Nothing overly spectacular. It's a big plantation that's owned by somebody for the crop it produces, because bits of it keep getting cut down and replanted. But it's a pleasant place to be, whatever the season. Part that is from muddy days, but that applies to everywhere this year. But it's a nice wood. It's often quiet. It has a nice selection of wildflowers and interesting features. That used to be, the tree looks as if it's moved. There used to be a pool there filled with water. Some lesser celandines. I say it has nice wildflowers. It gets orchids in the spring, bluebells. It's a good place to be. And it's one of my favoured places to walk through, often on the circular walk from the Crooked Billet up to Hazel Wood Castle. I'll come this way. This track, in about 8 weeks' time, it's got orchids at both sides. It's beautiful. Just the dog violets and celandines at the moment. So this is the path. Takes us right through the woods. No idea what that is. If you've any idea, let me know in the comments. It's like what they have on Baywatch on the beach, isn't it? Something to do with shooting or the woodland management. That's the public footpath. Goes down over the field towards the White House, which just to the left of there is where the sewage works is. So you could come in that way if you wanted. So they're not mature woods by any means. This bit was clear felled 10, 20 years ago now. It's been replanted. So probably the orchids are the nicest thing, and the fact that to the left of this track, running for about a mile or so, are just so many blackberries in September. You could fill your freezer with them. All this new growth seems to be a little bit more varied than the old growth. So I don't think I said where we are in the year. I think, is it the 2nd or 3rd of April? Easter was just last weekend. The rain hasn't stopped here, but it's definitely got warmer. It's 12 today, so it's quite pleasant. So the path is really pretty much like this now for about 15 minutes. And I'm sure I can hear people saying, well, there's more spectacular woods than that. And there are. But it's so peaceful. And it's often like this throughout the year. Some wild primroses. And I think, apart from the muddy path, this is its main attraction for me. I think the young beech leaves, when they first come out, lots of trees are the same. They're so vibrant and fresh. But these are lovely. You get the sun on them, they're fabulous. Willow's another one, the weeping willow, when it first comes out. It's almost lime green in colour. But we're at the end now, so there's like a farm track. It runs all the way from Aberford. Absolutely tons of primroses here. The track runs all the way from Aberford. And in various places it's private, in various places it's a public footpath. And so if you But to go right, it would give you access to the farm. Go left, give you access to the footpath that goes to Hazel Wood Castle, or back the way we've come. Anyway, the twist. The number 2 in my list of woodlands to walk in this spring is Hayton Wood, but it's actually 2 woodlands because they're so close together, and I like them both, and I usually do them both in the same day. So the wood, I think, that you can see in the distance there, that's Hazel Wood, I guess, from Hazel Wood Castle. We can't get into it that way. If we carry on up that track and then we turn right, there's a public footpath takes us to Hazel Wood Castle. But the track that carries on to the far corner is private. So we'll get to that point in about 25 minutes. We just have to go a little bit around the houses to get there. So as I say, my number 2 in my top 5 woodland walks this spring is Hayton Wood and Hazel Wood. So I think we get to the tree line just there, and we walk down the track and then up that line of trees there to that farm just about there, and then that takes us into Hazel Wood, and then we walk almost as far as, well, I think we do walk almost as far as the A64. I think they're close enough to count as one. When you get to the end there where the farmhouse is, you turn left and it takes you down the lane to the top end of Aberford, the north end of Aberford, which is another way you can access this land. There's a variety of different ways you can get to the other side of the motorway, and it's worth the effort. Because, as I say, there's some fantastic walks, and it never really seems to get busy. Anyway, we're nearly there. When we get to the end here, we just diagonally across the lane to the right, and we're into Hazel Wood. So there we go. Back on the lane we were on 15 minutes ago. And this time you can see Hayton Wood in the distance. This is the corner of Hazel Wood I was pointing to, and what this place has, I haven't seen anywhere else on my travels. It has wood anemones, but it seems to have a pink variety. This bottom corner of the wood is probably the best display of woodland anemones I know. There are literally thousands and thousands of them. There's quite a bit of bramble in places, but where there isn't bramble, there are woodland anemones. And the occasional bluebell. Still a bit early for bluebells, but they are starting to appear. As I say, that's the road down to Hazel Wood Castle. On the right, big wedding venue, conference venue. The footpath continues to the left here, and then eventually on and back round to where we've started. Hotels down there. I'll carry on up to the gate, but then I think I'm actually going to go back the same way that I came. This inauspicious place is kind of the end of today's walk. I mean, not in reality, not unless there's an Uber waiting at the other side of the wall for me. But it's not really. It is a circular walk in a way. More of a linear one though. So I'm just going to turn around and head back. A64, you go right to York and Scarborough, left to Leeds, but then in about 500 metres that way is a huge sort of roundabout affair that would take you onto the M1 North or the M1 South. So you literally could get anywhere in the country from here. Anyway folks, I'll head back now. As I said 10-15 minutes ago, I'm heading back. I wasn't really going to film it going back, but the lights changed. It was trying to rain, but it's got a little bit lighter now, and it's probably one of the nicest things about walking in Woodland is how the whole scene changes with the time of day and with the brighter or darker light. Not seen a soul today. Not one single person. Well, I just said, and I've not met a soul all day. And then seconds after that, bump into a family coming the other way. I was just talking to a friend this morning about synchronicity. Not quite sure what it is, but probably a little bit like coincidences, I think. There you go, folks, look at that. Incredible flowers. 2 weeks of the year. Probably 3 or 4 at the most. I absolutely love them. And the sun's coming out. The mud though, blimey, it's hard going. So I don't know if it's synchronicity or the fact that the sun's come out or the fact that it's early afternoon now, but since I said I haven't seen a soul all day, I've just seen person after person after person. I'm ready for home now. Just wanted to show you this in the distance. I'm not sure if I did on a previous video. Remember what I was saying about how wonderful it was around here when we were in lockdown because there was no noise? Well, that was the noise I was referring to. It's so busy because two motorways meet here. The A1M goes into the A1 at the same point as the M1 heads off south, so I think it's about 6 or maybe 8. I think it's 8 lanes wide in places. That horrendous, isn't it? Heading back now. As I said, on the way up, the car's parked just at the other side of those trees in the dip in the valley. The only thought I have when walking past this road, because the noise tends to drown out all thoughts and contemplation and meditation, but I often wonder, do the birds have to sing louder when they're near to a road like this? The same way that we have to talk louder? I'm guessing they do, but let me know. Because I think there's a skylark in this field to our left. One of my favourite sounds of all sounds. Yeah, I think if I had to have a top 5 list of sounds when I was out, the skylark would definitely be in it. I think the first cowslip I've seen this year. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. And again, it's so contradictory or contrary. But this banking to my left, it's adorned with orchids. In a few weeks' time. And at the moment it's filled with cowslips, bees, celandines, all along the bank. There's a footbridge here, again another way to get out to the countryside that we've been. Goes over into the village and takes you down to near the Arabian Horse pub, and there's plenty of parking there, and last time I checked it was open. But I'm nearly back at the finish now. I'll find this video as well and drop a link to it. I did a walk maybe a month back. I now started at Aberford and it started at Potterton, and I went to the western end of something called Becker Banks, an ancient earthwork. Well, this now where we are is a few kilometres further east, and this is almost the eastern end of it. As far as I know, it actually ends in Hayton Wood, where we were earlier. The sign's gone. It was a very informative sign as well. You could actually see the bank there, as clear as anything. There's about a 20-30 foot drop at the other side. It's partly along a natural escarpment, but in places it's an actual dug bank. I was hoping you could have read the sign, but I think the sign basically said it's a ancient earthwork, probably from the Bronze Age, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that puts it about 5,000 years old. You can see it through the trees. Looks to be about a metre or so high here, and as I say, here they've used the natural escarpment at the other side, and it runs from Hayton Wood there about 3 kilometres back. I'm not really sure what it was. I think it was was it to do with the territory, ancient kingdoms, things like that. I've seen pictures of them on TV. You can see there, and they had like a wooden palisade running along the top. but this whole area is crisscrossed with different earthworks. Where I'm walking now is very path. There's people walked along here for 5,000, 10,000 or more years. So yeah, this is natural but partly man-made as well, and it's just about to bounce down with rain. So the path to the right of the house is where we started to walk, and the car park near the sewage works is just down the track to the right. Not sure I'll be able to film for much longer. As I say, the path, and that's also Becker Banks, which you can see again quite clearly. Oh, it's a real shame it's rained right at the end, but at least the rain's kept off. And that's where the car park is, just down there. And who doesn't love a good mirror? Well guys, thanks for watching. I'm back at the car park now by the sewage works. I think this little water area must be drainage for the motorway, I think. But it's a lovely little spot. Oh. As I say, thanks for watching. That's the number 2 in my top 5 of woodlands to go to in East Leeds this spring. Join me very soon for number 1. But for now, I'll say cheerio.